Welcome to another Iowa High School Athletic Union training tape. This training tape will focus on mechanics. Mechanics is probably the biggest thing we're going to focus on this year. Mechanics is what's going to put us in the right position. And if we're in the right position and we're looking at the right spot, looking at the right action, then we have a higher potential to make a correct judgment on the plays. So on almost every one of the training tapes, we're going to talk about mechanics in, even if that's not the focus of the play, we're going to be addressing mechanics in almost all of them. So let's take a look at here at this first one. We've got 13 plays. Hopefully we'll keep this around 20-25 minutes. So this is just talking about, receivers and routes that they're running. If a receiver hasn't broken off his route after 10 yards, he's probably going deep, especially if he's still got long strides going on at 10 yards. He's probably going to be going deep. So back judges, remember, you're kind of that free safety back there. Don't get stuck on one side of the field. You need to read the whole play and turn and run, because we don't want our officials ending up in the middle of the play like this one. Now remember, anytime we're doing a training tape, we are not trying to, and we're going to point out things that maybe we didn't do so well, but we're not trying to demean any officials or anything like that. So if you are the one who's out here on this play, and it's happened to all of us, we end up on the training tape for something maybe not positive. It's just a learning tool. So don't take it personally. It's something to help all of us get better as officials. Okay, but let's just take a look at this play. And we got guys going deep, and this is our problem, is our back judge a long time before this should have been turn his hips and run, and he's still backpedaling. So let's just see where he ends up. Ends up in the middle of the play. The players end up behind him. It's not a good spot to be. So here's my words of wisdom for you. First of all, remember we talked back judges start at 25 yards. Okay, and we know right now at the snap we want to take a snapshot, and mechanically we've got a 2x1 here, so we know our back judge technically has our widest receiver, and our line judge would have this inside man. Our headline judge is going to be out here and have this one and also this one. Okay, so as this play continues, if I go in slow motion now, all right, we're starting out at 25 yards, and you read he drops back to pass. These guys are running full speed, and if they start running now a post, if you want to be in better position as a back judge, as you turn now, right now you should be turning and running. You want to actually go opposite of them. So they're going to continue running their routes this way. So what you want to do if you're in the middle of the field is as you retreat, you're going to want to retreat this direction so they actually, cross in front of your face. Now, not depth-wise. Depth-wise, we want you to be behind them, but they end up cutting in front of you, and you're still going to be behind them, hopefully. But right now, if you had done that, if you had moved over, you would be, position-wise, maybe right about here, but another 10, 15 yards behind them. So if you would have turned your hips and ran, you'd be back at this point. Probably they're at the 22-yard line. Ideally, you're at the 15. From the 15 to the 10, going backwards, we can see this action. Okay, so again, start at 25 yards. If they don't break out their route before they get, if they get to 10 yards and they're going full speed, they're going deep, you got to turn and run. Okay? All right, next play. Here we have the back judge who calls a foul for a block in the back, and it occurs before the ball has gotten to the return man, before he's caught it. So as again, I talked about this in the training tape on penalty enforcement, and also on one of our previous training tapes. Our back judges cannot be watching anything but the return man until that ball's been caught. He's got to be watching for a fair catch signal. So knowing that, we know that our headline judge and our our line judge need to be watching gunners for blocks in the back, because what we're going to see here is we're going to have a block in the back, and it's a correct foul, it's a correct call, but we can't have our back judge making that call. Our ball is still in the air here. So if these guys throw up a late fair catch signal and you're watching this and miss that, and then you don't see it, and he hesitates for a second, doesn't hear a whistle, so he takes off and breaks it for a touchdown, but the coach saw that he signaled for a fair catch, we are really in a lot of trouble now. So that's why you need to focus on that ball until it's caught. Now you could go and look for blocks, okay? But when this block in the back occurs, which is right there, that push, that's enough. Okay, what that does, that puts him by that return man. So again, he's in chase mode. This is a high potential for a foul. We need to be looking right at that, and we need to be thinking a red flag for high potential for a foul right there. Get rid of that. We'll go full speed. We'll go regular speed. Boom, there's our block, throws it by his return man, and that it's a correct call, but the wrong guy made it, and we cannot have our back judge looking at blocks in that situation. So we need to talk about that in pregame, so we get the call made by the official who should be making the call, so we don't miss something else. Next play here, we've got just talking about this. This is a false start and not a live ball foul for illegal motion or whatever they said it was. A good saying is whenever it may be a false start, make it a false start. Do not make it a live ball foul. Nothing good happens when you let a play like this go. All right. So this is definitely a false start. Watch that guy right there. That right there is enough for a false start. And we need to know who's looking at that. Our line of scrimmage officials are going to have receivers for false starts, as well as, their tackle. We can get a little help from our center guard, by our umpire. But this should be seen by our line of scrimmage official. It's possible that I think we had a flag, but it definitely wasn't for a false start. Yep, he flags it. And let's talk about flags, how to throw a flag properly. If you've got a dead ball foul, you want to throw it up in the air high. A live ball foul at the snap, which is what he called here. Incorrectly, we want to make this a false start. But he just tosses the flag. The flag barely gets above his head. You should be tossing that flag high up in the air so everybody sees it. And this would be a false start. Okay, so let's talk about the penalty enforcement. However, if this was an illegal motion, an actual illegal motion, which this wasn't, we're snapping the ball from position 3. And if this was an illegal motion, that is a foul that's enforced by rule from the previous spot because it's a foul that is simultaneous with the snap, and therefore we would go 5 yards from position 3 and repeat the down. But again, this is one that we would want to make a false start. Okay, this next play here, let's see what we got. Okay, so this comment was made by one of the other officials who talked about it when they were doing a crew review. So just really good positioning. He talks about move back into the backfield to be able to get an angle to rule on this play. So again, let's take a look right away when we've got this. As soon as this pass comes out, we want to be coming back, and you can see our officials coming back. He's looking where he should be looking out front. He's got that ball, and that ball comes out when he hits the ground, and he sells it as he's down. Our back judge is coming in. He's going to get that ball for our ball relay. Our umpire's going in there to get the ball from the back judge. So really good mechanics on that one. Okay, so this is the mechanic that we use for field goals outside the 25-yard line. Our back judge is Todd in this case. Todd has the call all the way. So our back judge is going to start out in the middle. I would start out right in front here probably, and then slide either way, a little ways back. But so they're just talking about, hey, if we have a different back judge, we need to talk about this mechanically. But anytime we're starting outside of that 25, snaps from the 25 or outside, our back judge is going to be the only one. And you got plenty of time in this case to move to the upright that might be threatened. In this case, it doesn't look like it's very close to threatening either side. But let's say it was threatening this one. If you're positioned here, you would just slide over so you can look, straight up to see if it's inside or outside that post. All right, next play. Okay, so this is what crews should be doing. All right, so this is, like I said, this crew who evaluated their game, and I found this play. Was actually sent in to me by the guy who had the bad spot, and he owned it and said, bad spot, this should have been the forward progress. So let's go back and see what we're talking about here. Okay, so first of all, we get a run, we get option play. So right now, we should start getting in the offensive backfield, and I believe we do that. So let's take a look here. A little late, but he does come back. Okay, now right there is where forward progress is stopped, and we're going to hold that spot of the 39-yard line. So he gets to the 39 and he holds, but then the guy continues to go backwards. He doesn't see right now. We got what we call our progress is hanging. Forward progress is hanging. In other words, we're going to be at the 39, and the only way we're not going to be at the 39 is if this guy breaks loose on his own and is able to, turn and be trying to get more progress. Okay. In this case, they never lose him. They never lose contact with him, and they throw him down. Okay, so there's our forward progress. We're going to get right here. We're going to stay right here, and we're just going to continue watching this action. And if they never let go of him, if he never breaks free, and then we've got this forward progress spot of the 30 minutes. We should have just kept that, and instead, what we do is we go back and we take a couple yards away from him on that. All right, this next play, and again, this is by the same crew who's doing evaluation. They're talking about who should be watching whom on this. And so let's just go back and make sure mechanically we're correct here. Our back judge is gonna have we got 3x1 or 3x2. So we've got 3 on this side, 2 on that side. So we know that our back judge is gonna have the 2 outside receivers. Line judge is gonna have the inside man, and our H needs to know he has both of these. Now, this is a really good play. Back judge does a great job here of not getting stuck. So initially, our back judge is in perfect position. That's exactly where we want you to be. And again, no one's pressed. So what our back judge does a great job here. I'm just going to let it run, and we'll see what my comments are. And then we'll come back and take a look. So neither of his keys were pressed. So the back judge does a great job of peeking to the quarterback, and the quarterback opens his hips. And right now, the back judge knows this ball is going here. He's throwing a fade, all right? So the back judge doesn't worry about these guys over here. He's focused on that the whole time. Got a back shoulder fade. And let's take a look. Oops, sorry. Let's go back here. All right, so again, don't worry about your keys. If they're not pressed, take a peek at that quarterback. Back shoulder fade, and we started out with our snap at the 10-yard line. So we know that we want our line of scrimmage officials to be slowly flowing to the goal line. When this pass is made right now, I would just hold right here. Just settle in, don't move, and you can have a great angle to be able to watch that. If you're moving, your head's moving around, you don't get quite as good of a view. So if you could get settled in before he goes down to the ground making this catch, that'd be great. But we are in good position. Could be a little better, but in pretty good position. Finishes it. And again, watch this. He watches these players. He does not turn and signal to the middle of the field. Okay, he continues to watch players. Darn it, let me go back here. We also do not want our back judge in this case to signal. All right, he's not responsible for this play. All right, so our only signal is going to be by our headline judge. Our back judge will come over, close down, but he's not going to signal on that play. Okay, another one for mechanics. Looking here, initial keys. This player here is completely inside the tackle box, so he's not eligible for a key as far as receivers go. When we're talking about, hey, are they double? Are they 3x1 or whatever? He's not considered. So we've got 2 receivers out here and we've got 1 here. That being the case, we know our back judge is going to have the. Oops, sorry about that. Let me get rid of that one. Our back judge is going to have our outside receiver. Our headline judge is going to have the inside receiver, and our line judge is going to have this guy. Okay. Now it doesn't mean that if these receivers, if these running backs, don't come out into pass patterns, we don't need to worry about them. But our initial keys, as far as knowing where our back judge really is going, what side of the field he's going to be on, we don't worry about a guy who's inside the tackle box. Okay, so this guy goes in motion, I believe. Yep. So we take a snapshot, and knowing now that we've got 3 receivers on this side. So again, talking about mechanics, forward backwards. So the line judge is primary for forward backwards on passes, unless he has trips to his side. He did not. If he would, the H would have responsibility for a forward backward pass. Now remember, if the quarterback is under center and throws immediately to the one side of the field, that line of scrimmage official will have forward backward. If he's under center and throws at you, it's immediately, you are the one responsible for forward backwards. On this play, our line judge is going to have it. Again, talking about a punch, only punch if the pass is within 1 yard. So if it's within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage and forward, you can punch it forward. Okay. And remember our when in doubt rules. With replay, when in doubt is backwards. Most of your games are not going to have, well, none of your games, I guess. We don't have even in the championship game this year. So without replay, when in doubt, it's forward. And if the ball is completely lateral, not backward, not forward, but straight across, it is considered a backward pass by rule. Okay, so on that one, it says, remember, no replay, when in doubt, it's forward. If this was caught, this was not caught, this would be incomplete. So let's take a look real quick at where our initial release of that ball is, and if it's going forward, backwards. If you can't tell by the angle, then you can see he's releasing it. Looks like probably right above the 29-yard line, and that catch is made, it looks like just between the 29 and the 30. So that's really tight. Remember, if in doubt, forward, backward, forward. So if he dropped it, it would be an incomplete pass. All right, more mechanics. Let's see what I've got here. Okay, so talking about a catch situation here. Let's go through this. All right, so let's look at our mechanics. Our back judge, really good. Looks like he was starting on the goal line, which our snap was at the 27-yard line. So I know we normally start out 25 yards, but if it's between the 30 and the 25, just plant yourself right on the goal line. You don't have to move. You know where that goal line is. And this play develops a little bit. So as long as it develops, we would want our back judge retreating a little bit. He's the only one responsible for this end line. So he retreats. Ball's in the air now. And he does a great job of getting back to that end line. And right about here, we'd like you to be settling down and not continue to run hard if possible. So get to that end line maybe a little more directly, and then you can just stop. But he does a very good job of ruling on this. Our line of scrimmage official is going to be on the move. Okay, so he started out here, and let's go back and take a look at him. Really good movement here by a line of scrimmage official. And again, watch his head. He does a great job here. You can see right now he's looking at his key. All right, he's looking at these guys as he's coming downfield. Ball's in the air, so he starts to go a little harder. And now my point is... Okay, so if you haven't at this point, before go up, look at each other and nod, okay? And then go up together. If either one of you is knows 100% it's incomplete. It hit the ground. He was out of bounds. You just signal incomplete right away. But if you don't, if neither one of you have it as incomplete, then look at each other, and if you both then give a nod, head nod, yes, 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 and then you could go up together. So we really should have had just a little better communication between these two officials. They do a good job of making sure back judges continue to close down, make sure he survives the ground. Okay, but now look at each other, give each other a nod, and maybe they did going up at the same time. But very good coverage on that play. Next play, we've got snap at the 10-yard line. So again, talking mechanically, we're going to drift towards the goal line at the snap. And if you think that that guy might get to the goal line, you need to start going hard. And we want you at the goal line waiting for the players. So let's take a look at what happens here. Okay, so just look at where we end up. You can see that we're at the 5-yard line when they're about to cross. We definitely had time on this play for to get to the goal line. So right now you see this handoff, and remember, if we're in the middle of the field and the goal line is not threatened, yeah, we're going to go back. We're going to step in the offensive backfield. But in this case, this goal line is going to be threatened, and we want you to get back to that goal line and get some depth. Then you can be watching this block. We don't need to be staring at the guy with the ball who's running in space. And then you can make a decision on that block. Looks like there's a little contact in the back, but it doesn't look like he's pushing him at all with anything. So I'm good with no foul there. Back judge, no reason to be running in like that. You start out, back judge, this is a running play. You're not going to get to the goal line. Just stop. Just stop and watch blocks. And back judge thinking about the blocks, it looks to me like the back judge is looking here, or maybe blocks here. Back judge, remember, we should be looking out in front. So back judge, just plant yourself right here where you were, and you should have all that block to know, hey, was it a block in the back or not? Okay, but our back judge instead continues to be running pretty hard. No reason to be doing that. You're not going to signal. You're not responsible for that goal line. So just let that play get by you, and just watch from your position you were on. Okay, this is a good one. So we're snapping at the 2 going out. So we have reverse goal line mechanics. So if we're at or inside the 5 going out, we have reverse goal line mechanics, and these are the mechanics you follow. If it's snapped at or inside the 3, both the L and the H immediately at the snap will go to the goal line to rule on if that entire ball gets out for a or if it's a safety. If it's snapped from the 4 or the 5, or actually, inside the 10, our H is going to slowly retreat back to that goal line, take a couple quick steps, and then read the play. And the L is going to hold the line of scrimmage. The L can read and react and go back to the goal line if his side is threatened. But let's take a look at this and see what our officials do. At the snap, immediately going back, we should be, and we don't really do anything. So the instant this ball is snapped, right now, we should take one quick step and be on the goal line and looking right up that goal line, okay? And in this case, both officials would be doing that. We'll get our forward progress spot once we see that we do not have a safety. Okay, so again, just review those goal line mechanics. At or inside the 5, or at or inside the 5, both are going. I'm sorry, at or inside the 3, both are going. If we're at the 4, 5, out to like the 10, the H is going to go slowly. The L can read and react. All right, next play here, talking about mechanics. Remember, in shotgun formation, the L has forward, backward. This is definitely a backward pass, and this should be ruled a fumble. The L would have a great look at this, so let's take a look. That's a pretty easy one. We end up killing this play and going incomplete pass. So let's go slow motion here. Why does this not called, mechanically, why would we not have our headline judge making this call forward backwards with the ball coming at him because we're in shotgun. So remember, we're in shotgun. Our line judge is going to make that ruling. If we're under center and they would throw it directly out to this receiver, then he would make it. But taking a look at this in slow motion, this is a pretty easy. That initial direction is definitely backward. Okay, so this should be a fumble. Ball awarded to the defense. If we're mechanically doing this correct, I think we have a lot better chance of getting that right. Just play from a different angle. Okay, next one. 8 or 11 man. Mechanically, it doesn't matter. Stay off the field. We do not want our officials on the field until the play's over. I'll just run the play. Let's take a look. We're on the field already. Okay, and now you can see we are way on the field. We're at the numbers, chasing this, and just stay off the field. Officiate the play properly from there. Again, come in that backfield, and right now you'd be looking at this block here. As soon as you clear that block, right now, we don't need to be watching that block anymore. You can see the bill of our hat. We're looking at the runner. He's in space, which means we need to get out here. This is our next potential block. We could have a block in the back by this player against this player. Stay off the field. Trail the play from behind. You can see that's a good side block. But we're just, when we're running and in the field, we're just too close to players in that. So, all right, next play. Oh, that's it. So, okay, well, got to about 27 minutes. Like I said, we're going to be talking about mechanics all the time this year. We need to, as a state, improve our mechanics and get our mechanics where we're doing the same thing. So if you go from crew to crew to crew, yeah, you got some things you want to pregame, but you know, you should be pregaming that, yeah, we are doing the same thing mechanically. And then it's going to be easier as we transition, you know, from one crew to another. So, like I said, if you enjoyed this training tape, thought it was beneficial for you, give it a thumbs up and like it on YouTube, and we'll talk to you again soon.